Hello everyone, I'm back with another video. I know it's been a while since I've said that. I know it's been a very long time, but I've had a lot of things going on in my life and I thought I could use this to maybe talk and just get some of the things that have been on my mind off of my mind, or off of my chest. And I will start to and explain a little bit. So I started college and aware that I was signed up for an 8-week class, and I really got busy, and that was kind of my first mistake. So I was a graphics design major and I never took an art class. I know that's very silly to take graphic design, but I have always loved using Photoshop or Premiere Pro, and those are very much so rooted in graphics design, is what I thought. Graphics design is a little bit more than just, graphics design is more than just Photoshop and Premiere Pro. So I learned that the hard way. Now I guess I can kind of create things. I'm gonna be honest, it was not the most eye-opening class I've ever taken. Did a lot of things like physical art and not much digital art. That was very interesting. A little bit. I honestly can say that I don't think I was very interested in the physical aspect of graphics design, and you know what, that's fine. I have switched my major to something else now. It's something regarding business, and I'm not too sure if you guys can hear the rain. It's raining a lot where I live, so apologies for that. So anyways, another major life event for me was I broke up with my girlfriend of around a year and a half, maybe a little under. That's been very difficult for me for a lot of reasons. I'm honestly curious to see how many other people maybe have been going through things like this, and makes me feel a little bit better that maybe I'm not all alone in feeling this way. So with my girlfriend, I think I realized she became very distant, and that was very hard for me, especially when I started to realize that it wasn't just her, needing some space, and that was really difficult for me. I've learned a lot from this breakup. It was my first long-term relationship, and that was something I was really happy, and I was very naive. I thought that the relationship would never end because she was perfect for me, and that was just not the truth. And as much as I still care for her, I do not have feelings in that way anymore, I don't think. And if I do, I'm working through them to try to move on, because I got hurt very badly by the way that she ended up breaking off the relationship, and I'll get into that. And she went on a 2-week camping trip with her grandpa. I guess that's kind of what started it. It's a long time to be away from your partner. I don't really have the answers to why she did what she did, and I think that's why it's been very difficult for me, because trying to piece together someone's reasoning when maybe they don't have a very solid reasoning is difficult. And another thing is, I realized maybe I wasn't really ready for a relationship, and I don't think she was either. The way that it ended was very abrupt, and I would say the communication was lacking. And that's another thing I realized in the relationship, was lacking communication. And that was very difficult because I'm a very communicative person, and I like to talk about what's bothering me or how I'm feeling. So having someone that's completely opposite, where they don't want to talk about any of their feelings, is beyond difficult, especially for me. In the moment, I was thinking that maybe we would be able to work through, because we were kind of different people, and from what I've heard, differences aren't really like the end of the world in relationships, and I didn't think it was the end of the world, but clearly it was a problem, and for her, and that's fine. Her not communicating to me about really like what it was made it very difficult for like a month. I mean, it's only been a month, but it made it a lot more difficult for me to accept. And I am one of those people that will try to fight for something and try to make it work, but in this aspect, I kind of realized that there's nothing I can do or say, because she told me I'm not going to change my mind, so don't try to change my mind. And I didn't talk to her for 3 weeks, and then I asked her if she wanted to come get her things, and she told me to throw them away. So that was I still don't really know exactly how I feel. I felt a little bit disrespected and thrown away, I suppose. Like, after a 1.5-year relationship, and you don't even want to have one conversation about your feelings to me. And maybe it was a good thing that it ended up not working out, because maybe I'll find somebody who can communicate with me. I'm not gonna bash her. Everybody has their own things going on in life, and that's completely okay. That doesn't fully excuse the way she ended it, and I'm not gonna go super in depth, but I will say that she came over as usual. She would come over in the mornings, and I could immediately tell that something was up. And like I said, I knew she was being like a little distant, but I didn't really think much of it. And that was something that, like, I just assumed that she needed space, because sometimes people just want space, and that's okay. Space is healthy in moderation, of course. I don't want to be a controlling person, and that's just not who I am. So I gave her space, and I think, it made it clear maybe that we weren't as compatible to her as she thought. And sometimes people won't be as compatible with you as you are with them. So I believe that I really loved that girl, and I was in love with her, and there was nothing that I thought she could do to break that. But I learned the hard way, people are just confusing. Sometimes you draw the short stick in that regard with if you're not being careful who you get into a relationship with. So that's another thing. Like, I ignored a lot of problems and red flags because I saw the person she could have been. So I've learned a lot. I made a lot of silly mistakes because I wanted to be loved, and that's something that a lot of people fall into, and I'm going to be working on for a while. I need time to work on myself. When I got into the relationship, I didn't really have like my self-identity really figured out. To be honest with you, that's something I'm working on now. It's just figuring out who I want to be and who I am, because I almost felt, like a lost soul. And I think part of that is I'm in a relationship, and if I change who I am, even as being like this lost soul, that makes being in the relationship with them like potentially not gonna work out. And so it's like a trap. I think now that I have the room to be able to breathe, take things a little slower, and that's fine. I'm glad I didn't get into a super long-term relationship with someone that didn't end up really loving me. And that's the other thing. I want to be sure that I'm in a relationship with someone that actually cares for me, and they're not using me as some sort of thing to fill a hole inside of them. And that's like so gross saying that, and I hate that. So I learned a lot. I have a lot of problems of my own. I learned that I have a lot of trauma from my childhood, and that's something I never really addressed because I had a very difficult childhood. When you have a difficult childhood, or you have something that makes you hurt when you think about it, a lot of times you're not going to want to think about it. And for me, I have problems with validation, and that's really hard for me to admit and quite personal, but I couldn't even put the words to it when I was trying to record it. And that's a kind of like an eye-opener again to me. There are things I need to work on, and whether or not that was the reason for my relationship ending, because I will say I was not given a very clear reason to why my relationship ended. It was one of those cases where you don't really get an answer, and you're left to try to figure something out when you don't have those answers, and that's difficult. That's very difficult for anyone, and I'm sure anyone in my position would be in the same boat as me, where you can't really get closure. And one thing I've learned is that closure doesn't come from the other person. Closure is something that comes from you. Closure isn't something that will magically just heal you. And I know closure is not something that you just magically get. Closure is a lot more difficult, and I'm not fully there yet, to be honest with you, because I'm not the one that ended the relationship, so I still have lingering feelings in a way. That doesn't mean that I am not going to be moving on, trying to carry on with my life, because I didn't really get to talk about any of it. I didn't get a say in it, and that was hard for me to try to like accept that, because when she came over, she said that we could talk about it more, and then completely said no the next day. That's when I stopped contacting her. I have now since removed her on my social media, trying to carry on with my life, and that's where I've been. I used to play like a lot of games, and to be honest with you guys, I have quit gaming for the most part. I play here and there now, but I'm on winter break or spring break, whatever you want to call it, for college. Now I have a lot of free time, and there's a lot of things that I need to work on, but regardless, if I worked on those things, I don't think the relationship would have worked. I think that she had a lot of problems that she needed to work on, and why it didn't work, as well as my own problems, but we didn't communicate about those, and that's why our relationship ended up failing. We'll end it off here, but I hope you all take some sort of value from this, because I know how hard it can be, and sometimes it's hard to improve, but you know, you can do it. You can do anything in life, but it's really up to you if you want to take the action of doing that thing. So don't be discouraged, don't be afraid, and that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope to see you again in the next video.